my name is Dami and welcome to Unique World Podcast, the most non-biased TV show when every single episode we invite new culture representatives and interview them about their communication features, their customs, and so on and so forth. So, hi guys, please introduce yourself. What's your name? Where are you from?
So I think I will start. Hi everyone. My name is Maria. I'm from Russia and I'm currently working and studying here in London. I'm studying marketing and very happy to be here to tell you something about culture, communications and other stuff.
Thank you.
Jose, I'm from Peru. I'm also very happy to be here. It's my first time doing this kind of things. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So I'm Yasser. I am from Pakistan and I study computer science. And similar to Jose, it's my first time being on a podcast and I would love to share some stuff.
Thank you guys. We have an incredibly diverse participants here. So different cultures. I think you have a lot to tell about. So just as an icebreaker, can you guys remember some maybe cringy situations or what make you nervous or misunderstood by foreigners? It may be in your home country or here in England, when it became an obstacle to communicate with your international fellows because of the lack of cultural awareness. For example, maybe you felt like you inattentionally offended someone, or vice versa, you were misunderstood or offended.
Well,
maybe some hilarious situations you can remember, according to your experience.
Well, when we started the master and I was trying to make friends at the beginning, as a Peruvian, we're very used to doing jokes to other people, and sometimes my jokes I think can come across as rude, but it's not my intention. It's how my culture is. We are so used to saying jokes and telling jokes to everyone, and maybe giving funny names to people, but sometimes it can get across as rude or very unpolite. I didn't knew that, so now I can I'm overthinking always, maybe I shouldn't say this, but it's going to be funny, but you never know.
I see, it's interesting, but actually I don't really think it's kind of cultural feature, maybe your personal, because I bump into it several times as well. For example, I can remember saying some dark jokes to other people and they were like, "Oh, I understand, probably you didn't mean to offend me or insult me, it's your typical Russian humor." No, come on, Russian don't understand it either. It's my personal bizarre sense of humor. So what about you guys?
I just wanted to comment, it's really interesting what is culture and what is your own personality, but I think that people from both Russia and warm countries like Spain, Peru and other are really outgoing, and we are normally we are really communicative and open towards other people, and some European nations are not as open, so there can be some misalignment here. So I think it's a very interesting thing. I can't honestly remember any situation when I was or I had misunderstood someone. I remember when I was in Switzerland and I was sitting with a lot of Swiss guys and European guys and girls having dinner, and one of the guys asked are you Russian? I heard that Russian women will do everything, wink, to you if you pay for dinner. And this was such a nice guy before he said this. So I was really, I remember it till this day, it was 4 years ago, and it was really weird for me, but it seems to be some of the stereotypes about Russian women, and this is just one situation that stood out to me. Definitely had some cringe conversations or funny stories, but can't remember them at the moment.
Yeah, cool. I think it's a very interesting topic because I'm not sure if it was a deliberate offense or just not very successful joke, because we'll return later about the relationship stuff, how the responsibilities spread within the couple in all of your countries. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I just realized that there are so many stereotypes revolve in Russia. For example, being here in the UK, or even in any other countries when I was traveling, everywhere I go I realized people were like, "Hey, you're Russian, would you join us for a drink? You're Russian, you must be drinking a lot." And I was like, "Oh, okay guys, I understand it's a joke, so no offense taken." But you remember, it's not the only one way to make friendly with me. I'm enjoying your society, so please, you don't have to get me drunk.
For me, I would say, I think it's just the accent. So when I first made a lot of friends, I didn't know that they had a term for us, which is called freshy. Freshy kind of means someone who doesn't have the British accent. So my South Asian friends, they'll be like, he's a freshy. And what I found out, I have another friend, she's like French, but French Pakistani. She came here, so she had French accent in a way of speaking English, and she was mocked as well in a way, like they mock their accent of how they speak, and I think that was kind of, like, I think a bit strange experience, but I personally don't take no offense. Another thing is people always guess me as an Indian, which I don't find offensive, of course, but the people have a little knowledge of that Pakistan and India are a bit different, even though we were used to be same country. Yeah. So I think people, they tend to see you and think that, oh, he's an Indian. I think so, yeah. Which I don't blame them though. Yeah.
Yeah, very good of you that you don't experience a lot of hatred towards Indian people, especially in the such tension time between your governments. But literally, yeah, you're from the same part of the world.
Yeah, we are from South Asia.
Oh,
You're from South America.
yeah, I'm from South America. Yeah, I mean, people do stereotype us also. Like Maria said, like we are supposed to be like very outgoing and very fun, but I mean, we kind of are. But sometimes you can come across people from Latin America that are not really outgoing and are really like very shy, or sometimes not even fun at all. Even me, I'm really shy sometimes. I don't really like that outgoing, or that like I don't like to socialize with people that much. But I think that's one stereotype that people have over our countries. Like if you go to Latin America, you will get like easy women, or very like tan hot guys, and a lot of parties and alcohol and great life. I mean, you're probably going to find people like that, but most of the people are not like that. Are like regular people. So yeah, we're like more like chill people. Like we don't really take things very seriously, even at work. It's very easy to make friends at work. People will treat you like a friend most of the time. I mean, there's like bad people everywhere, but most of the time we'll find friends easily. People are very outgoing, yes, but we still have some boundaries, I mean, if I don't know you and you come and touch me, like most of the time people will feel like very uncomfortable, and especially at work. I mean, I'm not going to go to my boss and like give him like a high five or something. Like still we do respect a lot of like people's space, personal space. So but comparing it to Europe, I think we are very much chill. I mean, we don't really care that much.
Yeah. So when it comes to social conventions, like whether you're outgoing, open-minded or not, it's very interesting between, as for Peruvians, I've heard a lot that you are really sociable, really outgoing, and you don't have any, you don't think it's necessary to keep like personal boundaries, personal space, or for example even during the business formal communication, you can stand close to each other, even touch each other without any hesitation, which is unacceptable for Western Europeans in most of the cases. So is it true?
Well, I mean, it depends. Yeah, it depends. I mean, if you come like out of nowhere and start touching me, of course I will be like, don't touch me. But if we are getting to know each other and you touch me, like, I mean, like my arm, my shoulder, whatever, we don't really care that much. We don't take it like as an offense or like you're being weird or whatever. No, it's fine.
Once you came to the UK, didn't you face any difficulties in this point? Because "don't touch me," is the most common phrase among British.
Well, not yet. Well, hopefully I've never come across like that. But now I know that I can't be like very outgoing with everyone, because here there are people from everywhere, from all over the world, so you never know how they're going to take the things you're saying or doing. So it's probably better, I mean, it's probably best if you just like stay calm and not approaching that fast.
Yeah, it's very good of you that you still bear in mind this subordination, like the personal boundaries. So what about you? Didn't you face any difficulties? Maybe you were upset that someone tries to push you away? Because Russian, from my point of view, are quite easygoing, but much depends on the generation, between type of character, of course.
Well, I don't remember anything from the UK if somebody tried to push me away of something. I did have an encounter with my colleague when we met in the British Library, and he was kind of like really weird. I couldn't understand, it's kind of hard to explain it, but I couldn't understand the level, like what communication is between us. Like he was either too informal or then formal, and I think it's not a British thing, it was just my weird colleague, honestly. I mean, he was nice, but still, like, we couldn't find a common ground. But can I tell stories not about UK, but about Europe?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Go on.
So it's all about Switzerland, because most of my culture shocks were in Switzerland. I like this country. People are really nice, but some of them are like very different. And I think in the UK, for me as a Russian, it's much more comfortable than in Switzerland. People there are much more conservative. And I remember when I had some problem with the teacher and I just wanted to resolve it, and I started my message with to be frank or to be honest with you, something like that. And I think, like, for me it's a nice, maybe slightly informal way of starting a conversation, just to sound natural, not like a machine. And what she wrote me is like she stated that she wants to continue our conversation in a professional way, and basically was really unhappy with me for starting a conversation like that. She thought I was rude, and I was so shocked, because that's not how I wanted to be perceived. I just wanted to have like a normal conversation. Apparently for Swiss people, the ones I have encountered, it needs to be very formal, otherwise they are stressed. And also doctors were the same. Like, if when I wanted some advice, they told me that they only can give advice on paper, like their doctor's note, doctor's report, not like I think that's what you need.
Everything must be formally proved. A lot of red tapes.
Yeah, and that's when my like stereotypes about Russian came in. I suffered because I hate like going by the rules all the time. I was like suffocated there. I couldn't live like Swiss people because they are too organized for me. Here in England, sometimes people allow you to just like be a bit like break the rules just a bit.
Yeah.
For instance, they can let you in the museum.
More laid back. Yeah.
Let you in the museum after closing hours. They can like, I don't know, you forget something, they will close their eyes on them. And in Russia, it's like that. that's how it works, and I love it because that's a more humane approach towards like communication and day-to-day life.
Yeah, well, exactly. But the way you describe it is exactly how it is, because I'm from Russia as well. I just remind who doesn't remember. But sometimes it's perceived as a very negative trait of our culture. For example, I remember some European guy asked me if I can drive properly. I told him, of course I can. I even have a license. I received it in Russia, but I need it to be proven here in the UK or in Europe, because they have a right hand side traffic and we have left hand side, the opposite. And honestly, according to my experience, I remember my tutor used to speak to me only using dirty language, because I was really a hard student. But this guy told me, don't worry, I'm gonna learn you how to ride, because honestly, forgive my prejudice, I don't trust Russian teaching method of driving. Why? Because you're famous for that. You always break rules. Only even on the road, so I don't trust. So maybe some European people think we are not obedient enough, or we're always breaking the rules, we don't care much, which is not real, but we're just relaxed at time, you see.
Chill.
Did you see crazy people on British roads? I think Russians are, if not the same, I mean, British roads are crazy, guys. Like, if you see the car, they're just going like this, turning on one place. I mean,
because I didn't much see roads anywhere in the UK apart from London. But in London, it's always traffic jams. The traffic is insanely heavy, so I didn't have the chance to see like crazy driving.
you should come to Melbourne.
Okay, I will.
If I tell you about my city, so we, even in the capital, we don't have traffic signs, we don't have nothing. Everybody just blows their horn and make their way out, and that's how they learn. And the thing is, it's only men driving mostly. So if by any chance there's a lady driving and she, because nobody else drives, that she gets all the blame. Everybody is just honking at her, oh, you don't know any rules. But there are no rules because there are no traffic lights. Everybody just finds their way out. So it's when I came here in the UK, I found out that okay, things are quite systematic, and so I can't really say how bad it is, knowing that how bad it is in, you know.
No, but I think London is somewhere in between, because I used to be not in Pakistan particular, but in India, in Sri Lanka, in this part. Yeah, I fully agree that traffic is very dangerous. Like, no one seems to comply with the rules. But in Russia, we are more obedient when it comes to pedestrians, because we always track the traffic light. We always look at the both sides, and now when I first came to London, I was shocked, because no one literally look at the traffic light. Like, how is it possible to cross the road with the red light flashing?
That's interesting.
But it's somewhere in between.
For me, London is like perfect. I mean, it's so, I mean, in my eyes, it's very well organized. People are like perfect drivers, and the traffic is like perfect, like heaven. Compared to Peru, it's not that, I mean, it's not that bad, but people do drive like crazy. I mean, even like the buses will like try to run over you. I mean, they will like start honking a lot, screaming things like it's really crazy. I mean, it's crazy. You have to be very like brave if you want to drive in Peru. It's yeah. I mean, for me, yeah. For me, this is like heaven. It's so good, so well organized.
Yeah, I would rate London out of 10. I would rate it like 8, 9, and if I rate Pakistan, it would be like 1. So most of the people who get licensed, they pay the money directly and get the license without doing any driving test.
Yeah,
because they know even if they do the driving test, they don't have to follow because nobody follows. So it's just a common understanding between the people of how we will drive. So it's mostly they are bargaining on the road. Are you going or should I go? First. So that kind of thing. And London, another thing is that it's so diverse that in terms of meeting people or setting boundaries, everybody kind of have different boundaries because of where they're coming from. So the Prime Minister here is Indian, as you can see. So you can see that a lot of people in London are from different cultures, so they are following different rules, not exactly British values, not British culture all the time. So which can be helpful. So I think eventually you'll just have to find your own people who are okay with your own boundaries.
Yeah. But as long as you didn't find them, it's better to keep a distance. Yeah, I got your point. Can you tell about your bank holidays? Because as we all know, the best way to know a particular culture it just come to the country straight away when the traditional bank holiday is taking place.
During bank holidays, I mean, what do you mean by bank holidays? Like,
Yeah, same
Like-
question.
yeah.
Like in national holidays, that's the way how it's called in the UK.
Oh,
Like
okay.
national holidays when it's state day off everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest one is like when it's Peru's Day. So we have two days that we don't go to school and you don't have to work, you don't go to school, and most of the time people travel. And I hate to say it, but we love those days just to get drunk and go out and party. My culture is like that. We can take every single chance if for example, like when your nephew gets like baptized, we make a party out of it. Your first son gets his first dentist, whatever, we get drunk out of it. I mean, we just get any chance to get drunk and have parties, or even if it's like just your family, not even your friends, but yeah, we love to do that. We make every single bank holiday we drink as much as we can, we go out as much as we can.
You're breaking the stereotypes, so everyone please remember who drinks more than Russian.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, I know most of the people thinks that Russians drink a lot, but I mean that's because you haven't been to Peru or Peru, yeah. We love to drink and we drink a lot.
I see.
We do.
That's quite opposite of us. We don't drink at all.
Because I think it must be influenced by your national religion, which is Islam, and I guess most of the holidays come from there. They are mostly religious holidays. So how you supposed to spend your bank holidays?
So for us, the main holidays are mainly Eid ones. So these are like 3 days after Ramadan, where you fast 30 days and then you have 3 days of celebration. You meet your friends, families, pay money and gifts to the children. And these are the days we used to like, us. We used to buy toys and toy guns and play with each other. And another one is another Eid, which is where we sacrifice animal, distribute the meat to the poor, and visit the family. So these are the two kind of bank holidays that we have. And I think drinking is not a thing. If you get caught drinking, you go to jail. So that's because it's illegal to drink or do any.
At all. It's illegal.
It's illegal.
You can prosecute it.
Yeah, you get prosecuted unless you are not a Muslim. So if you are not a Muslim, you get a license, you get something certificate, and you can.
I'm Russian. I'm eligible to drink.
So if you go there, you will get a license or something, and then you can buy and drink. But if you happen to be a Muslim, you cannot buy it in the country within the law. So the government controls that, and you cannot produce it without getting a license from the government. So people who get caught, and some of the people, they do drink, but it's quite poisonous, the alcohol they make, and a lot of people die as well. because it's not healthy, because
Mhm.
they just make it on their
It's
own.
not that well made.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
It's low quality, and maybe because their stomach, their digestion isn't used to it.
Yeah, because they make it very raw. They just put some fruit in the land, and
Mm.
this is how they make it. There's no quality control. There's no standard processes. They just make it, and no one would even know if it's alcohol or what it is. They just think it is. Yeah. So that kind of thing. But the thing is, a majority doesn't drink, and the thing is, if your family finds out, they kind of boycott you, thinking that you have left the family traditions. So it would be very odd for you to find any Pakistani who would publicly say, "Oh yeah, I drink."
Wow.
Because if they do drink, they can't lead the country. They can't be at any official positions or anything. If people know that they are, So these are, because it's kind of a conservative country, because India and Pakistan, they were under the British colonization, and then
Yeah.
Pakistan had to be separated because Muslims felt that they were minorities, so they wouldn't have a government there. So they said, we want a separate country where we can rule by our own
Rules.
traditions and cultures.
Wow.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
India has lots of different religions apart from Islam. Yeah.
India has a lot of Muslims still. They got
Yeah.
like 320 million Muslims, but they are still minority compared to like 1 billion Hindus. But in Pakistan, all of them are mostly Muslims, and Bangladesh similarly. So they are majority. But India has a Muslim minority. But yeah, it is. But I think, if, from my opinion and from what I have heard from friends, they are treated as second-class citizens, because they are seen as, like, the minority always gets the blame
Mm.
for the country's problem everywhere. So they are like, okay, these people, they are infiltrators. That was recent remark by Indian Prime Minister. So they are infiltrators, so they take your wealth, etc. So that's kind of, I'm happy that we separated in a way, but our country in itself is quite corrupt. So that's
Like-
another thing.
Like every country.
Yeah, I think part of the reason is because the powerful countries are happy that the underdeveloped countries are corrupt, because it serves them, because they can control them
Yeah,
later
that's true.
through debt.
In distribution of resources, they're normally like gathered in one place in rich countries and distributed between rich countries.
I think it's an effect of post-imperialism, when one country depends on some sources or money,
Yeah.
and unintentionally stays under the power of another more powerful country. Yeah, it can be the thing. We'll return to it later. Thanks for sharing. So, Maria, only both of us left talking about our traditional holidays.
Yeah.
Our traditional holidays, well, New Year's is definitely the holiday, right, in Russia. And now is the second holiday, May holidays. We have a really weird second part of holidays when they're kind of split between the Victory Day, when Russia celebrates the victory in this Second World War, and this in a couple of days will be Labor Day, which no one labors during
May
this day.
1st, right?
May
Yeah.
1st,
Yeah.
yeah, but we also have holidays today, tomorrow, and on the Labor Day.
Mm.
And New Year is the time when everyone gets super drunk, normally. On the New Year's night, we don't celebrate Christmas.
But we celebrate it, but not so widely as Catholics do, for example. So for us, the most important holiday is still New Year rather than Christmas. For Christmas, we can celebrate it as well, only if we're from very religious family. So like in a close community, we're not hanging out all night long. So that's what's happening during New Year from the 31st December. Yeah.
So we have a pretty long holiday after New Year, so that's when everyone goes traveling, mostly to warm countries. So because in Russia it's -20 usually in December,
-30.
-30.
Wow.
Yeah, but this year we were lucky; it was -20. So
Global warming.
and I don't know if there is anything. I mean, I remember as a child, like my favorite holiday was obviously New Year, and instead of Santa, we had we still have Father Frost, and I don't know what else to say. Our holidays are quite boring.
I would mention Maslenitsa. There is no direct translation. It's quite similar to Pancakes Day, but it's not only about eating pancakes. Yeah, we cook our thin pancakes, which are very thin and very white in shape. In London, you can find it in several cafes. It's called French Crepes, but don't believe it's French Crepes.
Not Crepes. Crepes.
It's called Crepes. So, anyways, don't believe it's originally from France, because it were Russians who invented it. So,
Oh wow.
keep it in mind. And this holiday entirely devoted to burning up like a doll of Maslenitsa, which symbolizes the end of the winter and beginning of the spring. So it's a celebration in honor of the spring, that finally goodbye winter, goodbye cold weather. So yeah, and from the time immemorial we used to cook pancakes. We think pancakes called blini or French crepes in London. So don't believe they're French, for God's sake. Yeah, that's how it is.
You can find them in stores like Marks and Spencer, and
everywhere.
they're called blini. So they are there.
Bless Marks and Spencer.
Yeah, Maslenitsa is a nice holiday. I like it. And Pascha. I mean, Easter, I like, but ours is different.
In different time, because Orthodox Pascha is different from Catholic. Yeah, we celebrate it in different days, but it's still the same. So I don't really track when it is every year, because I'm not religious. So I'm quite indifferent to the celebration. Yeah, but so
I am and I love Easter. We cook a really big panettone. You know panettone, like Italian, but it's not that, but something similar. Panettone with the frosting,
like a large muffin.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not really like spongy. It's really hard, and it's so good. And then we break eggs. I don't know if they do it here. Like you take
Easter
2 eggs. And which egg breaks the first, that's the loser. And the toughest egg wins.
I mean, in Peru, we do have a lot of. I mean, now that I'm like thinking about it, we do have a lot of like holidays. Like a lot, we make holidays out of stupid things. Like we have the national dish is called ceviche, and we make a day out of it. It's not like bank holiday, but we do make a day out of it, and people go out and just like eat ceviche, or like whatever. We have like guinea pigs. You know guinea pigs? We have guinea pig day. Yeah, I don't know why, but we do have like stupid things. One time Peru, when we had like a football match, and we got into the World Cup. Like there was like many years like Peru wasn't in the World Cup. Our president go out and said, okay, tomorrow no one goes to work, no one goes to study, we just celebrate today because Peru is going to the World Cup. And it was like, why? It's just stupid, but we love to do those kinds of things. Like
it's quite similar. It's quite similar in Pakistan. When our team gets a win in World Cup, the country goes like, okay, there's a holiday now.
Yeah, people get crazy. Yeah. For us, every single holiday, it means food and alcohol and friends and family. That's our basics. We don't care what we are celebrating, but our way to celebrate is through food and sharing like drinks with your family or your friends. That's our mindset.
For us, it's chicken. We cook chicken whenever it's a holiday, because chicken is usually expensive. So people just most of the people cook it when it's holidays or
Really?
it's important days. So that's like premium stuff. Normally they have vegetables or other things.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You know, like one
I
thing.
know where to set up my next business, because in Russia it's the cheapest meat.
Chicken.
Chicken.
Yeah, for
Is
us
it?
also. Yeah,
That's, I mean, same.
yeah.
For us, it's the most expensive thing. Meat is the most expensive thing. Maybe because people love to eat it, so people can afford vegetables easily. Some of them grow it in their own lands and stuff. But chicken is quite expensive. Lamb is quite expensive. So it's only reserved for holidays and important dates.
Well,
Yeah.
like beef in Korea.
Probably,
Beef is also beef is also very like luxurious thing in Korea, and fruits also.
Beef is so we live in Pakistan, we can eat it, but people who live in India, it's quite a contentious topic.
They don't eat beef. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of vegetarians? Because in India they are.
Yeah, they are, but in Pakistan we don't have no vegetarians. So it's because there's nobody knows even what
Because
vegetarian is.
meat is like precious stuff.
Yeah, they love to have it when they can have it, and because they are Muslims, so one of the Eid is about sacrificing animals, so everybody gets meat to their homes. So there hasn't been any movement to not eat meat.
Mm.
Yeah, which is
So, cool. Let's talk a little bit of how social roles is distributed, how typical relationships in your country look like. For example, as you mentioned previously, is Pakistan very strongly religion influenced country in this regard?
so in our country, I would say it's more culturally influenced than religiously, because we have been under British colonization, and after they left our country, people try to make it more towards religious centered, because that's what binds us together as a nation. Because as a nation we are lot of different ethnicities. We have Afghans living in Pakistan, we have Balochis which are next to Iran, we have Punjabis, which I am one of them, we have Kashmiris living. So all of us are different ethnicities. So what binds, and different languages, what binds us together is our religion, which is why religion plays such an important role. But the thing is that gender roles are more cultural than religious, I would say. We do have sex segregation, which means there's no free mixing. Girls usually have their own schools, all girls school, boys have their own schools, all boys schools. And within the family there's not much division, I would say. Like when I grew up, my mother would cook food and we all sat together and ate. But there are expectations that for example, men are expected to go out and buy the stuff from the stores, and girls are expected usually to help their mothers in their home. And similarly there are jobs. Now it's a bit changing, but in jobs most of the teachers are girls, most of the nurses are girls, and in computer science or in engineering most of them are boys, so there are gender roles. But I wouldn't say it's mainly because of religion, because I think it's more of how the culture is, because it's quite similar in India, even though there are a lot of different religions. There are Sikhs, there are Hindus, there are Jain, Buddhist, Christian, yeah. But it's more of culture, I would say. But there is segregation, there is gender-based separation between.
Yeah.
Which means we tend to marry our cousins because these are the only people we can freely mix and know about. But the issue is that when I came here, one of the stereotypes is that Pakistan's they definitely have 60 to 70%, if not more, cousin marriages. But one of the things that it's seen as very odd in Western countries, while it's pretty normal in our settings, because these are the people you kind of know or trust, or so that's very odd from Western's point of view to marry your cousin, because people here think that they are like your siblings. But in our side, like our parents, their parents were mostly cousins, and now people are waking up to some of the dangers that they might be because of the
Genetic.
similar
Yeah.
genes. But again, if they now it's slightly changing, but people still do
Wow.
arranged marriages. But in India, the system is that even in Pakistan, because we had similar culture to an extent as well, that people marry within their caste. So within their caste, sometimes the only people they find is their own uncle's daughter or uncle's son or something like that.
You know, curious fact, no one knows about Russia. Actually, it legally approved, it's permitted to get married with your cousin, but it's perceived to be freaky, so no one literally do it. Yeah.
But if you fall in love, then
But in terms of the law, it's permitted. Yeah. So the thing you mean it's you have a very strict distribution in terms of gender roles. So normally men never cook, never help their
No,
wife.
so I never learned how to cook or wash my clothes. So which is when we leave the country, if we find it very difficult that there's no one who can do it for us. So for me, my mother did it. So in villages, the roles are similar because the man goes and does some work, and the wife or the ladies, they usually cook the food. If we have land, they cut the crops, they grow them, they look after the animal as well, livestock. Yeah, so it's both of them, because they have been in these roles for hundreds of years, they tend to carry on. But now, since things are changing, people are going to schools, different jobs are creating, but still they try to maintain the system, the institution of family and the institution of marriage. So to keep it, people are trying to still, within the new roles, try to keep the
to try to keep your dependent on each other. So
yeah, so try to keep their own roles in a way.
I see. Yeah, so what's about Peru?
I think there's a word for this. When you think men are stronger and better than women, what's that word?
Masculinity.
Misogyny?
No, yeah, misogyny is like
It's
the
a bit
opposite
more-
of feminist.
Sexism? Opposite of feminism is sexism.
Okay, I think my country is very like sexist.
Sexist.
Sexist? I don't know. Because of now it's changing. Now it's changing. Like my generation is trying to change things, but my dad also, but my grandparents were like, no, the woman just go to the kitchen and do meals and take care of the children and clean the house. She doesn't need to work. She only needs to do like housewife things. But now it's like no, like women also now have more opportunities, not as well as men in Peru, but they do have like more opportunities and more like power and control or taking decisions, whatever. So I think that's changing. But and talking about greeting, we are very comfortable like greeting your friends or someone you know with like a kiss in the cheek or like a handshake or like a hug. We are very like that. We don't even care. I mean, when you meet someone, even if it's like the first time, we usually go like a little hug and like hi and a little kiss in the cheek, like yeah,
Okay, so
that's greeting for
even
us.
if you're both male. It's
I
alright.
mean, if we are both male, the common things like just like a handshake, like hi, my name is like I don't know.
So there's no kiss on the
Yeah,
cheek.
no. Between men, no, but between men and women, yes, or woman and woman, yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's cool because I don't remember where exactly, but I read somewhere that it's typical for Peruvians to go, for example, down the street and holding each other's hands, even if you are both male.
No.
In our culture, if you go on Google, you will find Indian Prime Minister and Pakistani Prime Minister holding hands.
Yeah, I've
Even,
seen that.
and the thing is, in the streets, we hold each other's hands. We even, what is quite common is we keep our hand on other person's shoulder, male, definitely not female, because nobody, not that I know of, touches any female unless they are married or they are their own family in Pakistan. So but within men you can hold hands, you do hug, you don't kiss definitely, but the thing is, what I found is, because I grew up in that setting, in here I can do the same with Pakistani someone who grew up here, but not the ones local here, because they think that, oh, you are acting a bit homo. So but the thing is, since I grew up there, I don't find it like that. It's because
a cultural thing.
So but that's one major difference. We do hold hands with men, but when we meet ladies, we usually just nod the head, or if it's someone elder, they put their hand on her head or something like that. But the ladies, if she's older than me, she may kiss my forehead, in respect.
Yeah.
So it's quite different. But between men and women, the usual...
For me, for me it appears very sexist to kiss the hand.
Kiss the head, forehead.
I think it's cute.
It's cute.
I think when she's older, she's maybe 50 and you are 20 or something, she will kiss your forehead as a sign of respect.
Blessing or something.
Yeah, it's like when you meet someone like it's like younger and you kiss their foreheads, like
Yeah, because for my culture, for example, if we saw someone the same sex walking down the street holding each other's head, or maybe doing a small hug, we would definitely say that they must be from LGBTQI plus society. Which is also absolutely fine. It's not a denigration, but it's just not typical for our common relationship.
True.
I mean, in our culture, there's a lot of bromance. But that's how it is.
So guys, I guess the last topic for our conversation for today, I can't escape it, since it's non-biased program. Which media do you use the most when it comes to news consumption? Because we have different kind of tension relationships between governments, even several serious military conflicts, and the information about the same topics can be different. It can be controversial. So do you know which leading point your government stick to, and do you consume usually one-side news, or you can compare?
I usually use the but I also read the other ones, the Independent and all of them, and some of the news I get from social media, from relatively unknown media outlets, to get a different perspective. But since most of the news are regulated here, and also because these are big corporations and there's a lot of money involved, we cannot say at times things that should be said. So for me, it's quite important to get all-rounded view by listening to a lot more of the news outlets than, let's say, sticking to Daily Mail, or because some of them are very right-wing, some of them are very left-wing, so you get biased views from them. So I think at times quite impartial, but I still find to show bias and to mostly they stay with the government's official policy in terms of how they report news.
I think to some extent every media outlet can show bias at some point, or even if it's not proven bias, the difference between disinformation and misinformation. Misinformation, it's not deliberate, so it's not just a simple denigration of.
I definitely do read Pakistani newspapers as well. I do read, and sometimes I even read Iranian newspapers as well, to get a different perspective. All of them, to get even Hearts, which is an Israeli newspaper, but to get an overview of what they are thinking, because you can clearly see that the news they are publishing, it will be the same news, but all of them will be focusing on different thing which serves their country. So a lot of the time it's the news comes like, for example, New York said do not use the when describing the situation in Middle East. So I think it kind of represents how they want people to react to a certain news or to limit. For example, in most of the news outlets, the biggest news these days are about the protests that are happening on campuses, and they are being represented differently by different people. So what I do is I go and see maybe what Bernie Sanders is saying, who is seen as being on the left in the US, and Trump is seen to be on the right, and Biden is also quite supportive of the right-wing Israeli government. So he's seen to be in the middle. But I listen to all of them to see what their perspective is. But I do have my own view rather than just getting the news and agreeing to what they say, because I do believe that corporates, they have their own, they want to be popular, they want to go in line with the opinion that will be famous within the people and that the government accepts, so they keep getting advertisement, they keep making money, they stay in the business. So if they, like what happened with Twitter, if people say things whatever they want, eventually advertisers will pull out and the media will run out of the money. So they have to a certain
make
degree
people
not
engaged. Need to make people engaged,
yeah.
whether in positive sense or negative,
Yeah,
just to
exactly.
bring some sensations. Yeah, I see. But do you think it's affected your daily life? For example, here in the UK, there are a lot of Indians. You probably met a lot of them. Did you feel sort of bias towards you, or maybe tension in communication, maybe hatred from them?
So, just once. At once, I met. I met an Indian, and he was like, "Oh, how boring your life must be. None of you can drink, and none of you goes to drink." And then he was like, "Oh, you have to pray like 5 times a day," and that was, I found, quite offensive in a way, because I don't drink personally, but at the same time, he said he assumed that it must be boring or awful for you, such a boring life you have. Because for us, we grew up in a culture where nobody drinks and it just feels normal. But I thought that was offensive. But sometimes people take, we just we have banter, or we just make fun of each other. But that was just a line, I think, crossed. In a way, we didn't know each other. But other than that, most of the Indian students I meet really fun and comfortable, because most of us are international students, and we have similar struggles, and we are going through similar life, and we listen to similar music, so it gets us together. And about politics, I don't like Pakistani politics because it's corrupt government, so we don't like our government. Indians mostly, they don't like their government, but now they have Hindu nationalist government, which is in India, which means that if someone supports them, then they hate Pakistan, and in turn they may hate me unintentionally, because they think that our independence wasn't a just cause. So
because some people can stuck into echo chamber and don't compare news, and they have nothing left to do but strongly believe what media says about Pakistan. But
that definitely happens.
Do you think what happens in most of the cases that politics don't affect your relationships, your normal communication with Indian guys?
Yeah, so I try not to. Unless they are at war, then things get messy. So in 2019, there was a conflict between India and Pakistan, and I wasn't here. But if I was here, and if there's a conflict, then it gets quite bad, because our immediate families are in danger. But other than that, politics doesn't play a major role, because we know that, it's just politics and sensationalism. And there's issues about disputes, like we have Kashmir disputes, which is a land, but we personally don't talk much about it. But the reality there is that there's almost 900,000 Indian soldiers, over 8 million people, and it's like a prison. But we don't talk, because we know that it's a sensitive topic and can lead to problems. So we don't talk about it. The thing is,
respect each other.
Yeah, we respect each other's sensitivities. We don't talk about, okay, do you eat cows or you don't eat, because that's a very sensitive matter. So, and we also don't talk about caste systems or something like that, because these are sensitive topics. So we respect each other's sensitivities in that way, unless somebody starts it. So I think, yeah, but definitely when I was growing up, there's a lot of anti-India hate which is in the media to keep our image, like you always have to beat India in cricket match, that kind of stereotypes. So that they keep the rivalry up, so people watch cricket, they make money, so some of the hate they make sure it stays, so they can
keep doing it.
So they can keep making money. Oh, it's a big match, India versus Pakistan, historic rivals, and this and that, so I think, it keeps the stereotype, but the people are quite similar. They don't hate each other too much. It's just the politicians who make use of the gaps. Yeah.
I'm sorry for interruption. I need to listen out Peru.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we're running out of time.
For me, I chose not to read news that much, just because it can get in your head and it can ruin your day or your life. This happened to me last year when the Russian-Ukraine problem started.
2 years ago.
3 years ago. Sorry. I kept reading the news all day, and it was like, things are going bad. These things are happening. People are like running away, and when you and when you start like consuming this type of content, it gets in your head, and it can really makes you feel like really bad. So I think it's better to know about the topic, because it's important to know about things, but don't really get into it that much, because it can affect you personally.
You get overwhelmed.
You get overwhelmed.
You get frustrated, because death of the people is always bad. But what I mean is, you don't have a specific stance of, for example, who to support, which point of view to stick to, like who is bad or not, because you understand it's just all the relationship of between governments, not between other people. So you don't have a strong position whom to support, or.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like it's always good to listen both sides of the story. When you start consuming news, I mean, some of them will tell you like this country is the bad and the other one is the good, and when you go to other news platform, they will say like, no, they are wrong. This guy is the bad guy. This guy is the good guy. So I mean, honestly, you never know until you met someone that is living in the country that will tell you like, no, the thing that the news are saying are wrong, are like, this is the truth. I mean, because I'm living here and I know, because because you know your culture, you know your country, you know how things are happening. So I once talked with a guy. He was from Kiev, and he was telling me how the things happen and how media turning into a thing that it's way bigger than the problem is very serious, but media has made it like
I see your point. It's always exaggerated according to my experience, but sometimes it's even necessary to get people involved, to maybe make them think about what's happening in life, but on the other hand, it can foster bias or hatred towards certain people.
For me, it's I do take sides eventually. So initially I start reading different newspapers, and when I find out this newspaper is totally about sensationalism, like for example, I find they to be totally making at times fake news, or just they so I stop giving them any views to those newspapers, I would stick to the other ones which seem rather less biased. So I think kind of cool, but I still find it biased. But the Guardian is similar, but again they are working under the British law, so they have to serve the British interest. They can't say everything the way they want to, because then they would be designated as banned or something. So they have limits. But if I form an opinion on certain conflict or certain something, then I give my view or attention to the ones that I feel are good, so they stay in power compared to the ones who are thriving on sensation or misinformation or propaganda. Because a lot of media now, the media at times is guided by money, so they know where the money is coming from, so they will support that agenda, so to keep that money coming.
Thank you all, guys. It was lovely to talk to you. By the way, time has come to an end.
It was lovely.
We need to say goodbye. Thanks for coming, and stay tuned, and remember that everyone is unique and equal.
Yeah.